Welcome to Buckets Live, coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by Michael Fiddle at Fiddle's Picks on Twitter and the Action Network app, and Joe Delera at Joe Delera on Twitter and the Action Network app because he has no creativity whatsoever. Bringing you this episode of Buckets Live, we're going to react to the absolute madness, the stunner, the shock, the heartbreak, the absolute what? The punk rock Indiana Pacers going into Cleveland and taking both games, setting up a must-win for the Cavs on the road in Game 3. Are the Pacers going to sweep this thing? Plus, we'll react to Steph Curry coming down with a hamstring injury. Devastating news for the Golden State Warriors. Awful stuff there. We'll talk about all that and more. Plus, give you best bets for Wednesday in the association here on Buckets. Check out the Action Network app and go to youtube.com/the Action Network, which actually you're already on because it's the only place that this show exists. Hit the like and subscribe button for me. Hit me that. If you are watching the show and you've got bets for Wednesday, put them in the comment section and I'll get Fiddle and Joe Delera's thoughts on those bets when we get to best bets. Do that right now. Okay. Let's start with the Steph Curry news because we're watching this game currently. The Golden State Warriors are up 14 on the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have 28 points at halftime because, of course, Steph Curry suffered a hamstring injury and will not return to this game. He suffered a hamstring strain. That sounds like it's probably going to be a multi-game thing. So live right now, if we look at FanDuel, because that's the book I happen to have up, I'll keep an eye on it in the Action Network app as well. The Wolves are -1.5 plus 102, money line down to -113. Joe Delera, you have a live bet that you put in on a player prop of this game.
Yeah, I just got in a little bit of Pajemski over 10.5 points. I think it was a decent angle pre-flop. I know a couple people were on Pajemski, but I figured without Steph, Pajemski gets the shots up. They're going to need somebody to put up a bucket, and I think that this is a decent matchup for him overall. So 10.5, I figured why not? There should be plenty of usage to go around.
All right, Fiddle, as we kind of look at this game with the Steph injury, they're down 13 here, closing seconds, final minute of the first half. They get to adjust kind of at halftime. No Steph Curry, but like the problem for the Wolves has been their offense, and that doesn't necessarily get hurt with Steph Curry being out. What do you think about a live play on this game?
Yeah, I was looking at the total, looking towards going under. I'm seeing 183 as the live line in the total right now. 73 total points scored. Now 75 total points scored as we head to halftime. So asking for about 107. If we look towards what the pregame line was, it was like, what, 210.5 as the close. So you're projecting the second half as a higher scoring output than not only the first half, but also whichever pregame price was assumed to be in the market there. So when we come back to the halftime line and you see it, you're just like, well, I should probably play the under because it's asking for more than half the pregame total and without Steph Curry. I would be looking at that. Best lines are available at BetMGM.
Man, without Steph, I'm just trying to like evaluate this. So Curry was like, not Curry. When Chris Paul had a light hamstring strain in the Warriors or in the Clippers Spurs series in 2015, and he was able to play through some of it in order to be able to come back and play in that series versus the Rockets, which ultimately ended with the Josh Smith making a bunch of threes and them getting bounced as Doc Rivers lost a 3-1 lead. Stop me if you've heard that one.
I want to stop you for nailing the year, the exact Chris Paul injury, the subsequent outcome. Like, there's a lot of, sadly, Chris Paul injuries you could pick off in the playoffs. But to call out 2015, this between these two teams, Josh Smith, I was impressed. All right, keep going.
From there, you've got Paul in the 2018 Western Conference Finals where he suffered it and then could not return. So we'll have to see where this winds up at as far as like what's going to be happening. Like, I have no idea what this team looks like with I mean, they're basically just defense and Steph. Like, that's their entire formula. It's just like, hey, we're going to play really great defense and Steph's going to hit some shots. I guess maybe Pods and Jimmy Butler can make some shots. Like I can't talk I've got Wolves plus 100 on the money line. I cannot get myself to want to bet this, Joe. Like I can't. I don't want to. Like this feels like an absolute trap.
Yeah, I mean, Nas Reed just went to the locker room too. They said he was favoring his hamstring. So this is gross right now. Ant looks pretty rough to start this game. You have to see. Maybe one of these teams can make a run and close out the half strong. But I still feel better about Minnesota. I think they have more answers. I think that this is a good spot for them overall. So I think that Minnesota would be the side if I was looking to buy in now anyway, despite the score. Just no Steph Curry. That's the entire engine of this Warriors team. Like he makes this team run. So without him, I don't know how you get on a Warriors side right now, even with the fact they have a little bit of a lead.
What is this box score? Okay, first off, by the way, Nasri just checked out of the game and went immediately to the Wolves locker room and appeared to be favoring his left hamstring as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Buddy Hield is over 7 and hasn't taken a 3.
I don't know what's going on.
And Anthony Edwards is 0 of 8. I'm so confused.
The only player that's active right now and above 50% from the field is Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Of course.
This is the most awkward box score I've ever seen.
It's pretty gross out there.
Like,
Parallel universe box score right here.
Yeah, Jimmy's 2 of 7. Yeah, Anto, I mean, come on. Like, Ant alone should stabilize second half. Oh,
got over
man.
the 6.5 rebounds prop that we gave out yesterday on buckets. There we go. Halftime cash was 7-0 boards.
What's the live line on? I'm really curious on this, on what Ant's live points line is.
I think I saw it was like 18.5 before, so it's going to be low. Let's look. It is 17.5.
God, 17.5 for a guy with nothing or 1 at the half.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the look. It's not impossible for him. I mean, he's always gonna get the volume is the thing.
Brian Fonseca says the Wolves are minus 7.5 third quarter.
Whew.
Man. All right, we'll keep an eye on this and see if we can come up with other angles on it. Let's talk about the first game of the night. And the first thing I would like to ask is, Michael Fiddle, how overrated do you think Tyrese Halliburton is now?
I've called him not overrated since February. It was the NBA players that called him overrated, and I circled back to an old take that I had and said, I feel vindicated for an old take that I had. And now everyone wants to come up out of the woodworks and come every single game that he scores a basket. It's like, oh, Fiddle hates Halliburton. No, it's so ridiculous. I don't hate Halliburton at all. I'm a fan of Halliburton. I listened to where he took over JJ Redick on the Old Man of the Three podcast. He's fantastic. He plays for the only basketball team I'm actually a fan of because there's no betting value on Team USA. So it's the only time I sit back and watch as a fan. And so, no, he's been removed from the most overrated conversation since February. He's only slightly overrated now.
Okay, only slightly. Halliburton gets the win here. Just, when we were doing the series preview, Brandon was like, I don't know about Kenny Atkinson. He hasn't really been in the playoffs at all. And Rick Carlisle is obviously a really good playoff coach. And I was like, no, like Kenny's got like a really good reputation. He's been around forever. Like he's been in the league forever. Like he'll be fine. And then he has not been fine. Started Sam Merrill in game 1. I have a hard time blaming him for tonight just because they were without Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and DeAndre Hunter. Like an absolutely just a brutal injury hit. At the same time, they had a 7-point lead with under a minute. Hold the lead. What are you doing? They can't get the ball in bounds.
Pacers got him right where they want him at that moment.
So Donovan Mitchell was gassed, and he was taking a bunch of hits because he did play like a superhero for 3.5 quarters of this game. But he only wound up playing 36 minutes. And I just don't understand how is Donovan just completely at zero?
You know why?
Why?
Because they're not playing a Tibbs rotation. You got to play 40 minutes in the regular season, be ready to play 40 minutes in the playoffs. That's what's going on here.
It's true. Atkinson will play those guys 29 minutes.
David.
I need the Knicks to lose tomorrow because Joe is out of control. He is
Knicks
out
in
of pocket.
4. I've been saying it the whole time.
So I don't know where this goes from here. I looked up the odds, or the trend rather. Top 2 seeds down 0-2 on the road are 4-8 straight up, 5-7 ATS in game 3. It's a bad spot for the Cavs here, even if they get one of their guys back. Fiddle, what's the market done immediately following that game?
Taking the Cavs and the over, and I think it's an amazing spot, and I would still do it and grab the best number on the board. I messaged you guys saying, like, I have an amazing Cavs take for game 3, and it's to take the Cavaliers ATS, because if we look at the opening spreads, the opening spread was Cavaliers +1. It's now out to -1. We know the 1 is a very insignificant outcome, despite it happening tonight in the game. And so it's a 13th most common outcome in the NBA. So if you move through the 1, you could still definitely play it. And so if you evaluate, why did the line open +1 when it was Pacers +5.5? So if Cavs go from -5.5 to +1, so about a 6-point swing right there, now -1. It's really, that's your standard. That's your typical amount of weight for what home court advantage is worth in round 2. If we tack on the fact that we might get Darius Garland back, we might get Evan Mobley back, we might get DeAndre Hunter back, the Cavaliers have to be priced kind of in the realm of -3 right now. And they were what, -9 going into game 1 without Garland. If they had Garland back, they're a -10. So if they have those guys and they're on the road, they're a -4. So there's just so much asymmetric risk in saying that the Pacers need to get all these guys to be ruled out again to be at this price tag when the game tips off. So you should take Cavaliers now and be able to come back on the other side if you want to, or if you want the Pacers, definitely wait until the injury report comes out. You would have to think those guys are more desperate and closer to playing if they're on the cusp, because now they're down 0-2.
So I'll have the dissenting view here. I made this basically pick 'em. I was planning on an overtime bet, full strength in this game. If you're assuming that any of those starters are out, it's got to be Pacers for me. So if I'm going to wait. We have to wait. It's going to be so annoying because we're going to have to wait they're not going to tell us until tip off. So that's the first thing is, I would say do not bet into this until you have injury information. I guess if you like the Cavs, this might be the best moment to buy it, right? Like, it's probably like there could only be good news because there's no expectation priced into this market that the guys are going to come back in game 3.
If the Cavaliers should be a +1 on the road if they're missing Garland, Mobley, and Hunter. So you could take them at the best number. There's multiple -1s in the market right now. And that's like what? Like maybe 4% value shift in the line that you're playing. And there's just so much baked risk that it goes the other way. So I would say Cavaliers -1 is a very strong play right now, considering where the news might come. And it's so strong that you might even want to, like, if you are one of those people that likes to parlay, it would be a plus EV situation. Attack this on with something else, get the news in your favor, get the line move in your favor, and then make the multiplier actually work for you.
Counter, the Pacers are punk rock agents of chaos and will destroy everything because they just do not care. Like, their level of IDGAF is just insane.
Yep.
Like, they do not care. And like, they're down. Like, there's so many teams that in this spot up 1, you got game 1, you outplayed them, you got the split. And the Pacers just kept hanging and hanging and hanging. And they actually ramp up the intensity as the game goes by. The Pacers are playing, to me, like the most intense basketball of any team in the playoffs so far. Like, every possession, they are coming at you. And I feel like there's like an opportunity there. I don't know if it's going to matter. Like we talked about on Buckets today, you can catch the episode on wherever you get podcasts or at youtube.com/the Action Network. You know, Brandon Anderson bet Celtics to win the East. Gonna have to take that. Like, just gonna have to bet that. Joe Dallaire will, of course, have to bet Knicks to win the East for reasons unbeknownst to me.
When the Knicks were down 25, I bet them to win the East.
You're
amazing.
You're a sicko.
He's like, I would have done it at the standard number.
It was like 55-1.
Sure. Yeah, CLV sandwich is gonna be num. Yeah, I don't know. I agree, Fiddle, that from your betting perspective of like, where's the market going to end? Can I be better than that number over the course of thousands of bets? That is a good approach. Like, they're absolutely 100%. There's no question that this is like the Cavs is the right play. What's the total done since open?
It's gone up 1 point, which I think is pretty standard given the news, but also it seems like the news with Evan Mobley being the defensive player of the year, Garland being replaced potentially by Ty Jerome and Sam Merrill and those guys, Hunter is replaced by Dean Wade. There's very comp-like fits, so the total actually hasn't changed that much in the wake of any of the news that's come, even going back to Garland in game 1, Hunter and Mobley in game 2. So it's really just going to hover around this 229.5, 230 for probably the whole series, unless it starts to go really deep and we say the players kind of understand their defensive assignments. The game's just going to slow down.
The Timberwolves are really 0 of 15 from 3 in this game.
It's insane. They can't buy a bucket at all.
God. Oh man, the Warriors. They just, it's, somebody's commenting on how bad the Wolves look, and they do. The Warriors are the new Miami Heat, and I can say that because Brandon Anderson's watching, so I can just go ahead and say that. Like, they're the team that's just like, does it make sense? No. Is it just shooting variance? Yeah. Is it working in their favor? We'll see whether Steph can come back, because man, if he can be back later in the series, I think they're fine, because like they could definitely steal this game tonight. It's why I will not bet it. Like, I'm willing to miss out on the opportunity. I have a really hard time with that, and actually would like your thoughts on that, Fiddle, about Anjo, about when you're undecided and you're really trying to weigh these things, and the cost opportunity of like, this is a really good spot. Like, it's very, like, it's a dynamic, fluid situation, but you can't get the read that you want on it. How do you handle that?
Joe, do you want to take it first? I'm a little confused at the exact question.
I think you just have to like do it. Like sometimes I think when we take the opportunity to like cross-reference everything, like we normally would want to, like pre-flop, like pre-game, right, when you have plenty of time to go to your data and everything. I think that's important. I think you almost have to think about it like betting an opening line, right? You don't always have all of your models or like your projections up, but like intuitively, based on all the time that you spend like looking at the data, looking at the information, looking at the numbers, you can look at a line and go, that's wrong. Like, I'm going to bet on it right now. And I get that is a prime time way to try to get yourself like limited on an account sometimes. But I think that it's also worth the risk at certain opportunities, right? Because you do have a little bit of a chance to really capitalize on what could be a bad line. You don't always want to do it. You need to think about it in a big picture type of way, where it's like, all right, yeah, this is good. It's probably going to be about there later. I can sit on this one and come back to it later. But there are other times where, like with live betting, you're going to have that window for maybe like a minute, and you just have to make the decision. And the longer you think about it, you're just gonna lose the entire situation. You're gonna lose that entire point. So if you think that there's a good opportunity to buy, I think you just have to fire and be willing to kind of live with it. You don't always have to bet maybe your full unit for those types of situations, but I think that getting in on the exposure, getting a bet down that you intuitively like, and a live situation isn't a bad thing.
I would say if it's a consensus line, like let's say the line is the same everywhere, then you're better afforded by waiting. And like you have to factor in what's your personal schedule. Are you available the rest of the day? Are you running out for 4 hours or whatever? But if the line is consensus and you're going to be around, then I would use the time and wait and see what happens, and then be able to strike when things start to change. If the line is like a one-off, and there's not necessarily one-off, but if it's like, slightly off from the market, even half a point, and you like a -5 and it's sitting there at -5.5 pretty much everywhere else, then I would say, yeah, strike right away.
Good point from Brian Fonseca, who's also watching, is the series goes every other day until game 6 when they have 3 days off. So if Curry's going to be out, he's going to miss, if he's out a week, he's going to miss the majority of the series. I do we have an official listing on whether Naz Reid's out for the game or not? Have they announced that yet?
I was just
Not
trying
yet.
to find that. Nothing yet. Naz Reid on
He's
court
warming
warming up ahead of second half Tuesday.
Oh, I need that PRA.
Naz Reid leg on court warming up ahead of second half Tuesday via underdog. So he's warming up. That's good because I have the.
I got a DM about an interesting market. I'm curious to know your guys' thought.
Hit me.
Leading scorer of the third quarter is available right now on DraftKings, and everybody's plus money. You got Ant, then Jimmy Butler, Julius Randle 6-1, Jaden McDaniels 11-1, Pajemski's 11-1. You got Buddy Hield out at 14-1, DiVincenzo 18-1. Without Steph, and then the way that Ant has been playing, maybe there's a spot here that could be, worth a shot depending on what these guys' rotations are.
Randall with 8 attempts, tied with Edwards, and McDaniels with 3. They're sending so much help. They're going to be able to generate some open threes off of that. I would either say McDaniels or DiVincenzo would probably be my
McDaniels is 16-1. DiVincenzo is 60-1.
Although maybe it's just,
is that leading score for the?
That's leading score of the game, but leading score for the quarter. Oh, they pulled it.
They pulled it because the quarter just started. But I was looking at that 60-1 DiVincenzo as well.
Yeah.
Right when Matt said it, I'm like, yep, that's the one.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I thought it was fun real quick to try to talk about it.
No, it was good. It was good. We'll have to remember that for next time.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some best bets for tomorrow. Fiddle, what are you on for tomorrow's games?
For tomorrow's games, I like the Celtics and Knicks under 211. And I think OKC destroys Denver. ATS, any number.
Okay. Joe Dolera?
I'm on Jason Tatum over 42.5 PRA. And I've got a little bit of I think I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of Mitchell Robinson over 3.5 free throws attempted.
Okay, Fiddle, let's talk about the under in Celtics Knicks.
Okay, game 1 goes to overtime at 200 exactly, and they use overtime to get up to 213. So 213 was the total playing 53 minutes in game 1. You go to game 2, you should understand the defensive assignments a little bit better, and really it becomes more of matchup hunting, and both of these teams really prioritize the matchup hunting. Whenever they set up in the half court, they bring the right screen, they switch over, they get the right matchup, and then the second screen comes and they initiate the pick and roll action. And then it's just like there's 8 seconds left in the shot clock by the time they're getting their first look off. And it's just, you are asking for extreme efficiency to start to be able to hit the over in those cases. So the market has already moved under. I think the number is still playable here. I think it is in line with the way game 1 went and the way both of these teams actually want to play. So under is probably just a repeat bet for me throughout this series, because anything above 210, I'm going to think is playable towards the under.
So I'm on Celtics over on the team total. I got to this tonight. The trend is, I talked about the trend for how good teams are when they shoot more than 43s and they shoot worse than 30%. What's interesting is in those games, the team that shot more than 43s and shot worse than 30%, they went over their team total in the following game in 19 of the 26. I still like the combined under because I think there's a good chance that the Celtics hold the Knicks well under theirs. So there's a chance for both of us to hit here. But again, teams that basically shoot as badly as the Celtics did in game 1, they bounce back in game 2, both ATS, and they've gone over on their team total in 19 of 26. So I'm on Celtics over 111.5 as a team total bet tomorrow. Joe, talk to me about Tatum.
Yeah, I mean, Tatum just kept chucking the ball up. Like, he's going to get his shots. He's going to get his opportunities. And he was coming off screens a ton and just firing 3-point shots. Took 15 threes. 15. That's a lot of threes. He made 4. Like, he's going to keep shooting them. He's always going to have the green light. And besides, like, Tatum taking a ton of threes, the Celtics, we know, shot terribly from beyond the arc. So while I think that there's going to be a little bit of rebound aggression or regression from Tatum, because he was basically collected every single rebound chance that he had. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a drawback there. But he does get those ones where everybody kind of clears out and he just gets the easy rebound because that's what they want. But from a potential assist perspective, he had 17 potential assists and only had 6 conversions. So a couple more of those opportunities for his teammates, those shots go in. That those potential assists are going to be able to be converted into actual assists. So I like Tatum on over 42.5 PRA. He still hit it last game, despite the bad shooting, despite the lack of conversions on the assists. He had 45 PRA. He's now hit that in 4 straight playoff games. So I like the spot for Tatum. He's hit this as well in 5 straight games against the New York Knicks. So I think it's a really good spot to back Tatum in what I think is essentially, it's not necessarily a must-win game, but I think based on the numbers that you were just giving us, Matt, about the Cavs, this is kind of like a must-win game for the Boston Celtics. Boston doesn't have the same exact injury issues that Cleveland did, where Cleveland's missing 3 guys. Maybe they miss Porzingis. That probably impacts it a little bit too, where it would help Tatum get a little bit more usage. But I think it's a great opportunity for Tatum at 42.5 PRA.
Buddy Hield hits a 3. It's up to a 17-point lead. Warriors team. Got a question from Antonio. Thoughts on Tatum to lead the series in points at -110?
So Brandon and I think Jim tailed it too, or was on it too, but we bet on Tatum to be the overall round 1 3-point leader. And that was plus 850 earlier today. Obviously, without Curry, that is going to kind of crater. But I think that would be the angle that I would want, because Brunson just doesn't take as many threes. I don't love the idea of betting Tatum to lead the series in points just at that type of number, because like you got Jalen Brunson, who just is going to shoot the ball a million times. So it's basically a heads up with Brunson. And then obviously if anybody gets hurt or if there's any type of situation like that, you're going to be totally cooked. So I don't love it at -110.
Andrew says, can someone co-sign my Tatum over 5.5, Shea over 6.5, Aaron Gordon over 2.5 this play? They complicated set of circumstances there. I mean, you want the over, I guess, if you're going to play those. I think Shea assist I'm a little bit worried about, because Denver was pretty okay with just leaving him in single coverage on switches. It's harder to generate assists out of switches, and they are going to feel like they can get away with that again. I'm on Aaron Gordon over tomorrow as well. I'm on him for over 2.5 and over 3.5. He had 9 potentials in game 1, and it was just random variance that got him under. He's going to be able to generate probably better looks. They're going to have to send so much stuff at Joker, and that's when Aaron really starts to be able to operate as a facilitator, because he'll do split cuts and he'll do baseline action where he grabs it and then dishes it to the driver or to the cutter, all those types of actions. So I like the Gordon one. Tatum, obviously, Joe, since you're on the PRA, you gotta like the Tatum one too, right?
Yeah, I definitely like his assists, given what I just talked about in terms of the potentials that he had in game 1. So I think that Boston, it was funny because Mazzulla he was on a press conference today, and they asked him, like, the opening question was basically, you missed a record-setting amount of threes. Like, how do you feel about that? Blah, blah, blah. And then they like a couple questions later, then somebody asked a thing. It was like, well, New York, like they were great. They made this comeback, blah, blah, blah. And he responded, he was like, well, what did they shoot in the second half? And they're like, well, over 50%. And he's like, isn't this like, and he just goes into this whole thing about the duality of this question and how it's just basically a make or miss league. And that's, I think Boston's going to be able to make a couple more in game 2.
Okay. Fiddle, I want to ask you, if tomorrow the Thunder, let's say the Celtics and the Thunder bounce back and they take care of business, as most teams do coming off of this, because you mentioned you like the Thunder to take care of business tomorrow. What should people be on the lookout for how the market's going to move on game 3 after, both road teams stole game 1, bounce back, it's even. If that happens, which we don't know for sure, because, hey, Pacers took 2-0. What should people be looking for in the market based off of that projected outcome?
So I think it's an unbelievable question, Matt. Like such a good question. So let me give you a great answer and a response. It matters more where the lines close. And then, of course, we'll get the results. And you're saying the results go OKC covers, Boston covers, right? So it's going to move 6 points back the other direction, almost regardless of if OKC wins by 11, 25, 36. Really, unless there's no injury, it will be OKC -5 or maybe 5.5 going back to Denver. And the reason for that is because now you're saying to me, OKC is going to win, Boston's going to win. So we're going to get very standard pricing, no clear desperation angle, 1-1 in the series, going back to the underdogs with the venue change. If there was a 0-2 situation like we do with Cavs Pacers, you would get a further desperation angle priced in. If there was an injury, you'd get that further injury news priced in. And so a lot of things that have been happening this season, Matt, is the zigzag pricing. So it's like it's almost the exact opposite of the results that we see is the way the next game is priced. So Lakers -4 in game 1 against the Wolves. They lose -5.5 in game 2. You look at the Rockets -2.5 in game 1 against the Warriors. They lose -4.5 in game 2. So the lines are going actually opposite the results because they're pricing in desperation as a real angle that matters, which is true, and motivation is real, and tell everyone that at the Sloan conference who doesn't believe it. And so with a 1-1 series, you're just going to get that 6 points, that standard line movement, and you're assuming it's 1-1. There's not going to be a big desperation angle. So I would look and think it's OKC -5, Boston maybe -5 as well.
Okay. I think we're good here from Buckets Live. We'll get back to Warriors and Wolves as the Wolves try and score like 80 points in this game. Just try and score literally anything in this game whatsoever. We'll update you on Steph Curry status tomorrow on Buckets. You'll have that episode in the afternoon. And we'll have official best bets for these games tonight, the next in the series tomorrow. We'll be back on Buckets Live tomorrow, 10:30 Eastern. Bring your bets. We'll talk about them for the Thursday slate. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. And we'll see you guys again next time. Till then, Buckets.
Halliburton.